Welcome everyone for joining us here for our Verge Ag Integrations and Path Planning 2.0. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. And for those of you returning from a previous webinar, welcome back again. So today we're going to talk about, on our first webinar, we went through kind of the basic features of our Launchpad, our interactive planning tool. And today we're going to kind of advance it a little bit more and show you some of the more unique features or different things you can calculate and take your path planning journey a little bit further, I guess. So a little bit about our company and what we do here. So at Verge, we're focused on accelerating the transition to autonomous farming through the development of user-friendly, intuitive precision agriculture tools. Our technology supports sustainable practices and positively impacts the way farmers manage their in-field operations. So in a sense, we're taking into account how you plan your fields. We understand your equipment now is, basically autonomous. You do have an operator in the cab, but when you are planning how your field travels and things like that, ideally the equipment is taking control and doing it for you. We just want to help you on your journey to reduce compaction, the time it takes you to complete your operations, and of course, give you a little bit of return on investment for sure. So why do we path plan? So we want to create an optimal path that guides farm equipment to completely cover a field while avoiding all known obstacles. So in the past, obviously, you can pull into your field and you randomly kind of create your guidance lines based off of your first pass. What we'd like in the path planning journey is that you have a completed path plan before you get to the field. So you plan out, what crop you're going to grow and how much fertilizer you put down and what machine you've chosen to plant that crop or spray the crop or harvest the crop. But you don't, in the past, people haven't really thought about, well, what direction am I going to travel and how does that impact my operation? So we've now given you the tools to take that one step further, to have a completed plan. It's thought out and processed and implemented and it's been communicated with the operator. And so it's all planned out before you get to the field to save you time. So how do we do the planning and things like that? So we use Launchpad is our, first interactive software. It uses machine data to help farmers plan for seeding, spraying, and harvest ideally. So we'll do a demo of the product here shortly, and I'll get into some of the more advanced features with it. So with Launchpad, we optimize ag equipment by creating custom path plans for the field, any size, eliminating in-field decision making. We reduce the drive time and increase the profitability. So one of the things that in taking this a little step further, one of the things we've done to kind of advance this a little bit more is we've done a complete path plan export. So in the complete track export, we're moving the autonomous farming kind of one step further. So before this season, when we released this, you had the ability to export the inner A-B tracks, and you were freehanding essentially the outer boundary. So now we've kind of taken it one step further, and we're giving you a complete path plan export. So as you can see here, when you export your plans, we give you the option to export your A-B guidance lines, which are the tracks on the screen displayed in the blue. We give you the ability to export headland tracks, which are in the pink here. And those headland tracks are actually an adaptive curve, which the machine can drive and follow. So you have designated headland tracks rather than freehanding the headland. And then you have inner boundary tracks, which you can export as well, which is the column here in yellow. And what that does for the machine is gives you the ability to while you're traveling on these inner AB lines, it will actually kind of shut the machine, run your sectional control and shut the machine off at a designated point at the end of these lines, coinciding with the curved or adaptive curve headland track. So these lines, instead of continuing on like a normal AB track you would create yourselves, these tracks are actually designated for distance. So it's keeping into account, we've got 2 headland passes in here. So as you approach the end of this line, it shuts the machine off, you pick up, turn around, and then place the machine back in the ground or application on at this inner boundary track. It also gives you the ability to export the outer boundary as well, which is pretty straightforward. I mean, that's the outer area of the field. So with having this complete plan export, it also gives a full coverage aspect to the field. So you don't have any gaps or misses or anything like that. So we'll get into a demo now of Launchpad, and I will I'll go through some of that for you. Just got to switch screens here. Okay, so when we open Launchpad, it opens, I just have the trade show account loaded up here for demo purposes. But when you log in, you're given 2 options to log in. So if you're a non-John Deere user, you'll sign in. We can add your shape files into the system and create an account for you. So if you see up here, all your fields will be loaded in. If you're a John Deere user, you can select the John Deere icon on the screen and sign in using your John Deere credentials, and it will link the data that's processed in John Deere, field boundaries, equipment use, etc., into the system, and the active boundary that you have selected will pull across for that. So whether you're a JD user or non, we have an easy solution for you to get integrated into the system. So just in a quick review here in planning a field, you're going to select on the field you want to plan. You select what operation you're going to use. You can easily set up your equipment and stuff in the menu tab over here on the equipment. So we've gone in and done a few widths in here. We've just used, basic even widths in here, but when you're entering the widths in, we want you to use the track spacing on that width. So based on your GPS accuracy with application, it might be a 120-foot implement, but you might use 119.5 as your track spacing. And that's the width we want you to enter in for the planning stage in here. So if we just go back to the home and select our field again. So again, we go back to seeding or planting. In here, we can select the number of headland tracks we want. In here, we can select the number of interior passes we want to go around some of these inner obstacles, and then we can create a path plan based on that. Again, in going into setup, over in the menu tab, you can add in, different features and do some different things. So as the path plan loads up here, you can see it gives you some parameters around the field. So it gives you the number of tracks you're going to complete. It gives you your total track distance, your headland distance with selecting the 2 headlands, and then it gives you a total distance you're going to travel. It also in here gives you the suggested heading. So for this field, it's 179.51 degrees. And again here, it's giving you the least amount of tracks, least amount of time, as you can see on the chart, and then the least amount of distance. Now, in taking path planning one step further, with the suggested heading that we give, we don't, most growers don't always, you don't have to take the suggested path plan. You may need to alter your path plan, based on some weather events or different things you're planning to do. So at any time, I'll just blow this up a little bit bigger so you can see, but If at any time you wanted to change, you can either hit the drop down and select a designated heading, or you can hit the slider here on the side, and then you can see, I'm just trying to blow this up a little bit so you can see the lines designate and move, but you can see how the track on the screen and then the number of tracks and the total time is corresponding how you change what path plan you might take. But for example, if I wanted to go back to the suggested heading, I'll just hit the little arrow here and it'll take me right back there. But where we would use this situations, if you pull into your crop at harvest time and all of a sudden we've had a weather event and now your crop's, lodged or leaning at a certain degree, you can go in here, line your machine up to that certain degree. Let's say it's, 4 degrees. You can select the 4-degree heading, and then you can, save that path plan and export it to the machines. So one of the things with the export that I've done here, so as you save the path plans, you can do many different things with them. One of them is the compare function. So you can save 2 path plans for the same field. If you look, I've done it here. So we've got the same field saved with a 35-foot width and a 40-foot width. And down here in the bottom, it gives you the tangible benefits of each of the path plans saved. So if you look in here with a distance of 35 feet, you'll have a total distance of 71.94 miles, a total time of 5.42 hours to complete that operation, a number of tracks of 105. Over here, you'll see with 40 feet, obviously you're gaining some efficiency there, but it gives you, your total distance, total time, and number of tracks. Now, if you wanted to calculate, well, what does that mean to me economically for savings? So we can hit the calculate savings button in here, and forgive me, everyone's costs are going to be different, but I'm just going to put in some numbers just so you understand how the tool works. So let's say our equipment costs are $250. Our labor, for example, is $25. Fuel, we'll say it's going up, but let's say it's $1.80. And then any other cost you wanted to associate with this. So right away, it calculates, your cost savings. So in here, you can look, if I'm running a 35-foot unit, my total cost would be, $1,500.70. Our hourly cost doesn't change. Because obviously you're changing a header on the front and not, the machine working. But then you can look over here and see, what the cost savings is of having 5 more feet. You can also do the same comparison if you wanted to look at GPS accuracy. So if I look back in here, I've got 2 plans in here, which I'll do, and hit the compare function. Just got to take these 2 out, and then we can do the compare. So in here, I've simulated the same thing. You're looking at, a really high RTK style GPS accuracy of 39.9 feet. And then you can look at, a lower grade GPS signal of 39 feet. These are track spacing widths I'm using in here. So you want to look and see, well, what does, 9 inches of accuracy mean? Well, right here, it breaks it down, right? It gives you 144 tracks versus 148 tracks. So you got to turn, 4 more tracks. You've got a little bit more time to complete. And again, you can calculate some savings based on that. So you can put your equipment, your labor, and your fuel in there and calculate out, does upgrading my GPS or, equipment size or different things like that make sense? So that's a little bit about where we've taken Launchpad and some of the functions we can do with it. Obviously, as a user, you have complete autonomy on what you'd like to do with the features in here, and then create your path plans and go from there. One of the other things I was going to show you in plans is our export function and how easy that is to do. So once you have your saved plans in here real quick, You'll select on the plans you want to export. You're going to export, hit the export tab up in here. It's going to ask you which, solution you're needing to export for, whether it's, Case New Holland or ISO XML, which is, Trimble format or Raven. And then you've got a Trimble button in here and then a JD as well. So just for easy figuring, we'll select an ISO XML. We'll hit the next. It's going to ask you what tracks you want to export in here. So we want AB guidance lines. We'd want our headland tracks. We'd want an outer boundary and an inner boundary. Then we would hit next, and then it would finish and it would export and create you a file. So then it's easy. You can either, through John Deere's system, you can push it directly into your operations center account, and then through JD Link export directly to machine. Or in other cases, you can do it through Case New Holland. You can either do the same functionality through AFS Connect or PLM Connect. And then if you have older generation stuff, you can export the file to a USB and implement it that way. So it gives you a lot of different formats for people not running all the same color of equipment or different things like that. We've got a solution built for each person. So that's kind of it for the, kind of next stage of demoing. I'll open it up here for the last few minutes. If anyone has any questions or things they wanted to ask on here this morning. I see I already have one question coming in. So do fields have to be constantly updated for boundaries? Yes, we can do that. So if we get a weather event, after you've planted the field and now we've got, a slough or some sort of obstacle inside the field that's grown in size, we can, take your next field operation that boundary has now changed and load into the system. Or if you're doing it through, an automated account, like I mentioned, John Deere or something like AFS or PLM Connect, that boundary will update in the system. And then you can create and make it the active boundary to use in Launchpad when you go to plan again. With our full plan export that I went through at the beginning, boundary changes, from size or interior obstacles, for the most part won't affect your path planning because it gives you a full coverage export. Lots of people think, our boundaries shift and change, whereas we're creating a solution with the full plan export to make sure you get full coverage on the boundary you choose. The next question I have in here is, do you have to be tech savvy to implement the plans? Not at all. We have users, based on farm size, you've got multiple employees or labor's, a big shortage in the industry. So most growers, you get whatever labor you can find. And in my case, it might be your older, my father, for example, where they're not super tech savvy, or you might get someone that's really new to farm equipment. This is very simple and easy to use. Once you pull the plans through on the monitor, you select the guidance that you're using and it implements right in the monitor. So there's no needing to nudge or shift lines or, recreate AB lines. When you get to the field, the plan's already built for you, and then you can complete your field operation. So I'll just leave it open here. I don't see any more questions coming in. If you want to, you can, jump on the chat function at the bottom and ask questions if anyone's looking for ways they can ask questions, or if they have any feedback or something else they want me to review in the tool, open to do so as well. In the meantime, I'm just going to jump back to the PowerPoint here just for a quick second, and So just gonna update you and let you know, our next webinar will be on Wednesday, April 27th, again from 11:30 to 12 Central Standard Time. And we're gonna get some feedback on path planning in the industry. So this won't be a typical demo like we've done in the past with some of these webinars. We'll have some people from the industry on with me. And we just want to have a discussion about, different things in the industry around path planning or, experiences you growers have had with it, and just leave it as a kind of open discussion. So again, our next one will be April 27th if, you guys can make it and join us again. Okay, I don't see any more questions coming in. Oh, I do have one. Hang on one sec. How does the age of the machine affect the process? So great question. So again, tech has advanced quite a bit over the past few years, but probably since the start of GPS, it's more so the GPS and the monitor that you're using versus the age of the machine. But we have a solution that will fit, basically from the start of GPS up until modern day stuff. So in older machines that didn't have, guidance implementation in it, where you can, put guidance into a USB stick and then upload it in, we have a solution where we can take that optimal heading and manually enter it into the older GPS units, and it'll function the same as if we, implement a path plan in there. Obviously, some of the older machines will not have the adaptive curve feature where they can drive curve paths and things like that. So, you'd be limited a little bit on some of the stuff you use, but yeah, we can still implement path planning as well into those. So. Okay, if there's no more questions coming through, I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. Again, I encourage you to jump on our next webinar on April 27th, and hopefully we'll see you then. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.